Okay, hello and welcome to our Spring Speaker Series event. Today we are here with Maria Spencer from Merritt College Student Services, and she is going to talk to us about the art of repurposing. And I'm going to let you share more about that.
Sure.
And thank you so much for being here.
Great. Well, I have a mic on this one.
Okay.
So I'm really excited to be here this afternoon, and thank you for inviting me to join you in your space and give us some time for me to kind of go over some of the fun stuff that I've done after hours as, a employee of Peralta. So I've been a lifelong employee of Peralta for many years, and I'm at Merritt College. That's where I'm at. And I manage all of the student outreach, recruitment, retention, support, onboarding, partnership building, and sit on various committees. But in my spare time, when I have time and I do this, it's all about recycling, repurposing, reusing, materials that are in and around us that people seem to think that has no more purpose after it's been used. So I'm going to go over some of those items with you and talk about the importance of actually trying to do recycling. I think Merritt College has kickstarted something in natural sciences to look at the way we're sorting through our garbage per se. But some people's garbage is pretty much like a treasure for somebody else. And so you will see that with some of my items that I picked up to reuse. And I have to go back to my parents' times and then in the old days where, it was the era of depression, and people really took note of what they were discarding and the importance of salvaging the land. I want to say in natural sciences and even the ecosystem today, we have to be concerned about how we're just using materials and then just throwing it in the landfill. And so I want to reduce my carbon footprint by actually putting some of these items back to use instead of just breaking it up. And so you'll see that a lot. So right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to transition and I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to go into a quick little short slide PowerPoint that will allow you to kind of get an idea of what I'm doing here. So I labeled my little storefront. I want to say makeup storefront. I just have reserved the name, but it's called Urban Mercantile, and it's like urban setting. But mercantile is just another term they used for a store back in the day that had everything in it, from groceries to leather goods to, feed for animals and medicine and, fabric, whatever it is you needed. And so that's the reason why I use the catchphrase or mercantile for my store, because it's a little bit of everything. From the time I get ready to show you what I'll be sharing with you is using what is available every day and everyday items that you see that are leftover scraps. I want to say tin cans, for instance, scrap paper, old vintage frames, beads and buttons and whatnots that you see around the house. And it's just like, oh, this shirt is no good. But I know people who are actually utilizing old clothing and repurposing it and make it into like grocery bags, or they're actually sending it over to other places in the country that could use recycled clothing. So how picking materials that, work for you, such as paper or glass or fabric. I like using mixed metals. I even use old game pieces to make I want to say a necklace with or something. And then some of the materials you need to make your items or get creative with your items. It would be just simple things such as glues, scissors, adhesive. You might need a pair of pliers or some little tools that will make attachments to items that you might want to use and make it better. And then there's also, I'm not sure how many of you love walking the flea market or going to street festivals or going to salvage places. And because I know a lot of folks on TikTok and Pinterest, and we're going to go to my Pinterest site, and we talked about how folks are actually reinventing the wheel of not really purchasing items that has a lot of packaging and, minimizing, some of this material that gets caught up. You get something probably from Amazon and it's packed with paper. Well, what do you do with that paper that's packing? Well, I actually take that paper, open it up, flatten it. Even if it's wrinkled, I create a journal with it. And so you're able to recycle materials like that and create journals. You can actually dye your papers with tea and coffee, which I will show you a few of those items today. But going to charity shops, supporting a cancer society, or places that will take these items that you want to reuse, repurpose, and then that money goes to a really good cause, like a shelter or a food bank or whatever. But instead of shopping in a regular store like Macy's or Home Goods or, things like that for those kitchen items, go to your Goodwill store, go to your Salvation Army, because those items are the same items that you would buy in the store. Now, I've come across some like vintage items that are worth a lot of money. And these are like depression glass. They call it carnival glass, or I call it radioactive glass. I don't know if you know, there's these types of glasses that glow in the dark, or Pyrex dishes that you see, or your mother's old china. And it's like, there's people that just like leave things undone. So with that said, just thinking about getting inspiration, like how do you get inspiration to do this type of stuff? It's not for everybody. I want to say some people just rather do a puzzle or watch a movie or go to, out with friends and spend money, enjoying themselves. I, on myself personally, to get inspiration, is I look at other people's items that they're doing. I'll go to a craft fair and I'll look at, oh, geez, that looks pretty nice. I mean, they repurposed that cigar box, and I'll show you one that I repurposed. Maybe they repurposed, those tin cans that you get from opening up a jar to get tomato sauce out of. Well, some of those are repainted, shellacked, sealed with a beautiful, like, I want to say vintage print. And then they put their like utensils in it on their counters, or they put it on their desk to put their pencils and papers and scrapbooks and things like that. So my whole thing around repurposing is really looking at your niche. What is your niche? Your niche could be like, I love to collect old books. I love to, maybe recycle things that, I could give to somebody else that could use it more than me. So, do you like to paint? Do you like to make cards in your spare time? I actually repurpose junk mail into creating something that's reusable. Instead of it being in the landfill, I turn them into gift card holders. Now, gift card holders are really unique in itself, but when you go somewhere and you're on a fast track to get a quick present and you get this little gift card and you're going, this doesn't even look festive, right? It doesn't even look like it's for a birthday or somebody's celebration. Well, I re-customize those junk envelopes that allows you to kind of get an idea of like, you can make this yourself. And then, also, if you're a gardener, an avid gardener, you might want to make some gnomes for your garden, or some cute little things that, attract, I want to say maybe it's going to be a hummingbird feeder that, or bees that will, repopulate your flowers. So to me, at this point, when you're doing repurpose, recycle, reuse, anything goes, because it's your own ideas, it's your own creativity. It's what you want to do to, bring, I want to say, declutter, de-stress. I have a really good friend of mine here today, and she's doing just that. It's like, if I don't have a use for this, I'm going to give it to somebody else or a place that could use it. But, people sometimes love to cook and bake, right? And so oftentimes there's some people that are avid gardeners will create their own herbs in their backyard. But, instead of going to Home Depot to buy a nice little flat bed to put their plants in, why not use something that somebody discarded, like an old pallet, and saw it down and make planters with it? Or use the tin cans to put your succulents in, or your herb garden in the window. And so I just think that you would have more fun doing it that way than versus, oh, okay, I'm gonna, I'm just gonna go ahead and just buy it from the store. It's easier. So like I said, I've created things for sale for myself that has a new purpose. And the new purpose is taking some clothespins. Like, who dries their clothes outside using clothespins, right? Well, some people don't and some people do, but I happen to take those old bamboo clothespins and I turn them into, I want to say, snack bag closures, because I just think they're cuter and they're reusable. And, if If you ruin it, you ruin it, but at least it's not in the landfill, right? What about, I talked about like small containers, like vintage little containers, or even like maybe a sugar bowl that lost the lid. And it's like, what do I do with this? The sugar bowl lid is gone. Well, you can turn that into a cute pin cushion, which I've created. And I use like crystal glassware, china, bone china, and some vintage items, maybe a creamer. And I'll show you those items when I walk to the table. But for the most part, at least you get an idea of what you can do at home yourselves in your spare time. So, of course, I have a Pinterest site, and you probably were able to go to the Pinterest site if you had in your spare time to kind of see, and I'm going to show you my Pinterest site also. But I utilize new, modern, and gently used vintage items that can be repurposed, recycled, and reused. These materials are either textiles, vintage fabrics. I had a co-worker at work that went to Japan and brought back me some, old fabric, and so they're like kimono fabrics, I think, or something. And I converted them into a bookmarker, a fabric bookmarker, and I added an embellishment. So it just makes it more thought-provoking that it's like, this was recycled item, and it's like, it served its purpose, but at the same time, it's got a new life, right? So using mixed metals, using goods, and then I also tapped into like looking at how people are buying their lotions in big containers and stuff. I started making my own lotion bars because they're just a lot more economical. They don't like spill out all over the place. Like your own body heat from the shower will melt it down on your skin. It's with natural oils like coconut oil, shea butter, vitamin E, things that are really good for your skin with some really subtle aromas. So you can actually put essential oils in those. And I make those in the summertime. Like I sell out like crazy. I make beard balm for the men because men don't know that they have skin under their beard and that needs to be moisturized. And so they were really excited. Like one of the places I sell happens to be at the Native American Health Center's Red Market that just got a huge award for supporting, small little startup businesses and crafts people. And I just remember like going there, seeing the need of, the folks that come in to shop. And I noticed a lot of people are using their own grocery bags now. They're just being more conscious about like, how much more stuff can I have in the house? Like, all these plastic bags. It's like, what do I do with these plastic bags? So this slide is finished, and I'm going to go to the next so we can kind of continue our discussion here and see where we're at. So we switched gears now to go to my Pinterest site. And pretty much anybody can go to this Pinterest site. And this Pinterest site really is a catch-all place for folks that are really in the creative mind, or they just want to see what everybody else is doing. Like I have I'm going to show you some of the items that I've created that's on my Pinterest site. I have over 1,000 something views in my time. I don't even sell on this site. This is just stuff I like to post to show, like, look what I did, And so if you see this little clipboard is an old vintage clipboard that's been repurposed into something cool. And I want to say that with these items, they're reusable. And hopefully, you can kind of get an idea of the different ones that I've made. It doesn't look like it's I have like three other prints on there. But yeah, my little site is called Urban Mercantile, and I think I dropped my Pinterest site there so you could follow me and just see what I've done. I've created these travel notebooks for like folks that want to jot down a note. They might be on a trip. You need to remember which street I'm going to or whatever, getting off, using the bus. But these little travel notebooks are really cool to have. And I used vintage maps from an old atlas that I found at a yard sale. And so I covered it with that to make it like more attractive. And I think there's some other items that are fun to look at as well. Like these are cigar boxes that have been repurposed. This jean piece right here is actually from jeans. and they're now, I want to say there are keychains. And I got some clay, and it was like, drying clay, and I made, I want to say aromatherapy diffusers, so you can hang in your car, you're de-stressing. It's like you want to add some on there and it dries, it kind of aromas into your car instead of having those chemicals. So these are natural essential oils that can use. The fabric bookmarkers are right here. To the left here, I want to say these are tea bags. I'm not sure if you're familiar with junk journaling, but there's a huge crowd of people that junk journal, and they convert materials, and they either draw art, they write in there, they calendar in there. I use recycled paper. Maybe it could be a calendar that's still blank, and I just folded it up and I tea dyed it or coffee dyed it. And I'm going to show you some of these items. These are domino game pieces that I put a charm on it and a little cool art print that I found out of a catalog magazine that was promoting their art, but they're miniature. And so you can cut those out, put them on there and use this stuff called diamond glaze, and it gives a nice coating to it. And then I added a customized charm to it, which is cool. A lot of people want something different. They don't want the norm. So when you go shopping, like at those stores, it's like, I want something that will stick out, that someone will say, oh, wow, where'd you get that necklace at? Or, the other thing too is, remember I told you about the tin cans? These are the tin cans that I talked to you about. And a lot of people love to use them in their gardens, on their kitchen counters, at different places. I also created magnets from the ends of a biscuit tin. So some people don't know that, like, what do you do with that biscuit tin after you open it up? Well, that tin is, you can make something out of it. And so I picked really cool prints, and I want to say decoupage, which is another form of putting glue down and then covering it with paper. It's like paper mache kind of effect when you're a kid, but that's the same method. I also, I want to say repurpose vintage books that are ready to go in the landfill, and I actually make bookmarkers out of them. I also repurpose books, and I use them as tuck spots, folded in with little items. Let's see, going down here, this is a picture of the coffee dyed paper that I did. And basically I went outside and I actually took my leftover copy that was going to be poured down the drain, and I soaked different kinds of papers in it, and then I air dried it outside. You can use stencils, you can put them on grates, you can put them on anything, and the sun will like dry the imprint right on your paper. So it makes it kind of cool. I also created tags for people, and these are vintage bookmarks. There's a picture of my lotion bars that I created that were, sold. I even took old Pokemon cards and converted them into like insert cards into journals. And some people like jotting things down on there if they're that. Even those Rolodex cards that nobody wanted, that they just threw out in the landfill, those became inserts into journals. So if you type in, and these are pictures of some of my journals that I created on to the left, those are really highly sought after because they're keepsakes. Some people put their grandmother's recipes in there, or stories, or so it kind of gives like a generational like hand down from one generation to another. I created also from those recycled books these envelopes that you can insert little notes or 4 gift cards, so you can fold them up and create them. Remember I told you about the junk envelopes? The junk envelopes are right here. And I thought the junk envelopes were like a great idea, only because of the fact that they're cute, and they're useful, and once you're done with it, it's just like you want to relook at it over and over again, because somebody made that, right? And usually that's what happens when you get an item. I think there's some items on here that I created. Like, remember I told you about the pin cushions, that I redid the pin cushions to look at a vintage piece of glass, or it could be metal. And this is like a typical old I want to say sugar bowl thing with no lid, but now it's a pincushion for somebody. I had even, I think I found an old brass little mini vintage bathtub, like small, and I made it into pincushion and somebody like swiped it. She says, I have someone that like loves to sew, but loves baths too. So it was like a big connection for her. And so I said, oh, okay, whatever suits your fancy, right? So I also do like shadow boxes for folks. Sometimes I also do repurpose old vintage nightstands or furniture. So you can see one small piece right there that I did that I changed the handles on. I did it jet black with a chalkboard paint, sealed it up with a wax, and then painted some gold, I want to say metallic paint to pop some color on there. And so I did that. I also use this pickle jar to the left, and basically it's actually you could do a battery operated light in your garden. So that could be on the table without having if you're doing a picnic or something outside and you wanted extra light, you can drop a bunch of lights in there, and they're so cute. You can do all types of different jars. You could decorate it however you want to decorate it. I also did garden spears right here with all kinds of different colored like little stones to, people were going to like Home Depot and buying those spheres, expensive ones, but you could go to like a yard sale and find an old a lampshade or something that's circular, and then glue all those different like things on them. And so that was what I did. Right there are the clothespins that I talked to you about for snack bag closures. I also took an old belt that was going to get tossed out because it was really worn, and I made earrings out of it. And there's actually one pair left here today. They're sold so quick. I also took old small crystal leftover chandelier pieces and created I want to say dangles. And some people love to have extra glimmer in their windows in the morning time or evening time, and it just brings these really cool different colors through the crystals. And so folks love those too. And I have different sizes of those, but for the most part, this is a lot of the stuff that I've done with repurposing. Now I'm going to shift gears and I can walk over to the table, right, and showcase some of my things. All right. Okay. So I'm going to start over here on this left side of the table of things that I've made. So I think in our office world, we always want something cute to hold our little Post-it notes. And oftentimes they peel apart in your purse, in your briefcase. So I created I used leftover paper, scrap paper, and I created a way to put your Post-it notes. So I just thought this was the cutest idea for us, right? I also took leftover, those legal size envelopes that everybody doesn't use that much. So I took my leftover paper, stock paper, and then I created an accordion. So you could put your receipts, or you could put information, things that you're going grocery store. Maybe you're couponing that day. But I love this idea. And you could put your own little ribbon around it. So I have a bunch of these. Now, remember I told you about the junk journaling? People have no idea what is junk journaling, but check this out. So this is scrap paper, but when you open it up, this is paper from you ever seen this paper when someone's doing a house and they're putting this kind of paper on the wall to seal up? This is this paper. This is old notebook paper from an old magazine. But if you go further, right, it's just random stuff. And people, this is my tea-dyed paper that I created, by the way, in here. And it's all in here. And so folks, this is how it looks when it's kind of finished dried. But I think when people go out on a vacation, they want to drop in a cute little sticker in here where they're at, maybe their little photo that they took by Polaroid, those little cute, they're going to drop it in here. Maybe it's a special day and you don't want to forget, but this is a keepsake because it's kind of unique. So I created different ones. This is full of little pocket like little inserts that you could do. And so it's not for everybody. But I do know that, you know, I started creating some for men also. But I also started to do like tags. So this is one junk envelope that I created. And so basically it's another way to insert your, I want to say your little gift card. So that's that. And how many of you know what a recycled book looks like? Instead of going to the landfill and you want to turn it into a, I want to say another way of journaling, it's this. So basically, I took this book and converted it into like another way to journal, right? But the cool thing is it's got these cool little fold out pockets. But it's another way of fun stuff to do. So if you're journaling, you're going to drop, you're going to use this blank side of the card, you know, things like that. So that's not going to the landfill now, right? The other thing that I created for folks is repurposing these old vintage clipboards, right? They have a purpose still. Don't throw these in the garbage. But look how cute that is. So say like you're in the kitchen, you're like gonna do a recipe and it's like you don't want to set your recipe down. And you could put it on there and you could put it on a little like plate holder or something. But you can also take notes. You could use this as a grocery list holder, whatever it is. But I made different ones. I think it's kind of cool. But this is all vintage stuff. Like, right? Like, look at this. Right? This old little lady with these old vintage advertisement signs. I always thought this was good. The other thing remember I told you about the travel notebooks? Look how cute these are, right? You're going to stick this in your purse, your pocket, your back pocket, and then you're going somewhere and you want to remember that restaurant you went to with your honey or something, and you want to drop it down here so you could journal at home after you've been on a vacation. And then, or write down like significant milestones that you did, like places that you went as a memory, and then you just keep these. But I thought these were good. I also made little mini Post-it notes too. I thought these were really cute, right? Like you just like little mini Post-it notes that you stick in your purse in your back pocket. And then remember I told you about the junk envelopes? These are junk envelopes that you get from your marketing for here, you can get a credit card, right? But I thought these were really cool for like somebody's Mother's Day. And you put a gift card in there and you're not just giving them some Hallmark card. This is a repurposed item now, and you helped out with the landfill. The other thing I made was these little magnet refrigerator notebook pad things, but this is made out of cardboard, like leftover cardboard from a package I cut, recovered, and then bought some little magnets and added a pen. But you could reuse this over and over again, right? Instead of buying another one, you just throw in another notepad, put it on the refrigerator. I talked to you about the tin cans. Aren't these adorable in your kitchen? Like I would put my utensils in there. The ones that won't, you can actually put rock on the bottom. You can actually put succulent plants in the window on these. I had some masculine ones too. I thought these were good. I had someone that had jokes on it, you know, the man cave, and they put their cigarette butts in there or whatever it is. But I thought it was pretty cool. The other thing too is, remember I told you about the terracotta little aromatherapy diffusers? So this is just dried clay that I pressed with an imprint on it. And then you just buy yourself some essential oil, boom, there you go. But I thought this was such a good idea for people who needed to de-stress, right? I think we all can use that. And then I think this is like really cool. Do you ever have an old cigar box? This is a cigar box, right? But now it's used for something else. You could put your little keepsakes in here. You could put like your jewelry in here, whatever it is that you want in here. I added the little legs to it. It still needs some cleanup on here, but I think the whole idea is to not let this go in the landfill. And a lot of you have seen cigar boxes, but now it's more customized. into something better. I know a lot of males love the cigar box approach instead of a traditional jewelry box. It just adds more, I want to say, personal touch to it. And it actually smells really well. Later on, when you guys come up, you should open it up. It doesn't smell like a cigar. It actually smells like something else. Now, this is made from a recycled chandelier right here. This is the one that I talked to you about. A lot of people like to hang in their windows in the kitchen, in the bathroom to bring in more light. This one just happens to be a larger vintage crystal, but you can imagine the light that will come off of this. I'm going to move over. And I just wanted you to show you that I repurposed fabric, also vintage fabric, and I customized these into bookmarkers. I've given these out for gifts, and these were well received, only because of the fact that it's not going to deteriorate unless this falls off or whatever, but the fabric will remain. But it's, I picked it, measured them in certain books, but I have a bunch of different ones. Now you can customize these yourself. You can put like little prints, like doggy prints if you love dogs, cats. If you like teacups, you can look for fabric like that. You can actually take things from your mother's garments that would remind yourself of your mom, that she wore that outfit all the time, and you want to repurpose it, and you can always have her little shirt or her apron in a bookmarker. So I thought that was really cute. The other thing I recycled was I picked up a box of this at a yard sale, and they were plastic little, for your badges. So I recycled these so you could have something cute instead of a traditional badge holder. So I have a bunch of these. So just so you know, here's what another cigar box looks like, right? It's cute. I just think it just has more character than a traditional cigar box. So is this one. This is a cigar box too. So, and it's cute with the little horsey legs and stuff on it. I thought that was really, really cute. Yeah, I did all of this. So I customized all these myself based on like what I had available. But you can find these like at yard sales. You can actually go to a smoke shop. You can find them there. But most of the time, some people just rather get it from somebody that's a maker, right? I'm considered a maker. But also to bamboo clothespins. See? And these are now what I use in my kitchen to seal up my snack bags and potato chips. All of us here at work at Perato will have a stash in their drawer for their goodies, their candies, and you need something to seal it up. By all means, use something cute, right? So I created those, and people love these instead of the plastic ones. The plastic ones are so bad, right? So, and even the little gem falls off, just redo it. Just put another gem on there. Remember I told you about the biscuit tins, the ends of the biscuit tins? Look at this. Isn't that the cutest magnet? It's a magnet now, but never know until you think. I always like to put little signs on there and stuff like that, but I just think it's really cool. I made some like indigenous ones, some teapot ones. So depending on what I have available in my stash in terms of leftover paper, that's what I use. I also want to go into like looking at the containers that I use for my pin cushions. Remember I told you about grandma's old creamer? There it is. It's a pin cushion now. It's reusable. I don't know if you remember back in the day, but these shoes were around a lot. These are vintage, but I put a nice Pendleton print on here. You've probably seen these around, right? But I took some fabric from a kimono. I think my daughter in Hawaii, we went to a vintage shop and they had old, not kimonos, but I want to say muumuus. And I got this fabric from there. This is an old baking tin, right? From like making like a custard or something in there back in the day. And then, everybody's all-time favorite. It looks like a little flower pot, right? So I made these. And then I went into, and these are the bigger ones, right? This is a cloisonne little piece that I found, but this is stuff that people discard. Like they don't know what to do with it, you know, because it's just leftover. But I thought it was important that recycling, reusing, repurposing items was really important to me personally, because we were big on ensuring that we didn't waste. Like we didn't waste food and we didn't waste like materials. And if someone grew out of one outfit, the other kid wore the next outfit, or it was patched up, or it was like you created a shoulder bag from it. But there are so many other areas that you could really rethink, like librarians, they have discarded books. So sometimes I'll go in there and look at the books to look at the inserts, the prints, and see if I can recycle them. And then I do that. Now, what I've done also too is look for old beads. And so I created what they call these zipper pulls. So these go right on your hoodie. So, and they're cute, right? And so they go right on your hoodie. So you have something cool when you go in, say like you're wearing an all white sweatsuit, but you want some bling on there. And my girlfriend back there, Edna from high school, she is an avid beater. And she would make all kinds of goodies like this, necklaces. And I told you about that recycled men's belt, right? So I created these earrings. And this is from a men's belt. And I think it's adorable. And this is my last pair right here. So, and then using old jeans. And our chancellor over there is wearing some jeans. But here we go. This is a keychain, but it's made out of someone's old jeans, right? And with the charm, you know, and it's just, now it's reusable. Now it's just not like just sitting there. So I've had enough pairs of jeans in my house where it's just like, what are you doing with those jeans? And I kid you not, you know, there's ways now that people are making little shoulder bags with it, right? Embellishing their little jackets with it. Making those, I made some super cool long dangly earrings for some colleagues of mine. And so the other piece is how many of you have come across a shell like this? But have you turned it into this? So what this shell is your catch-all. Take off your necklace in the bathroom, your earrings, your rings, your eyeglasses. You can set your eyeglasses on, but I think it's just more cute and reusable. And you know that this was like a living item before at one point, but now, you know, if you go into like Macy's, those fine stores, you're going to see stuff like this. And I did use some metallic paints, but a lot of folks are putting their earrings in it at the sink when they're getting ready to cook dinner. They drop their watch in here and they're good to go. They don't need anything fancy or special, but I think this just, when you drop your jewelry in here, it just looks more prettier, I just think. Even some for men. So that pretty much wraps it up. I do look for things that are more vintage, like old school style. And I have come across like pins like this that are like, somebody's going to want that on their backpack. Or, you know, I want to say there was one that was really important, this old clock looking thing. So, you know, it depends on the individual, like what they're looking for on the repurposing and recycling things, but pretty much everything on here, I found some kind of purpose for. And so it's been good in terms of people feeling a lot better about when they go shopping. Because then when they set it down, they're going to say, wow, this bookmarker is going to last a long time. And it was from a piece of vintage material, Japanese. And so my colleague, like I said, went down and picked up some of these materials for me. And so now it fits perfectly in one of my journals, just like that. See? And the repurposed books are just a lot. Someone's going to walk up to you and they're going to say, oh my God, like, what is that? What are you writing in? And it's just like I'm journaling. And, but I put one of those repurposed envelopes in here too. So there's a key in there, but it's just fun. It's just like I said, by all means, it's not for everybody. It's not a perfect world. There's going to be some things that, you know, don't look right exactly. Like this is a tag, but it's covered with the tea bags that you got from tea. So you opened it up, you dried them out, you brushed off the crumbs from the tea bag, and now it's sealed on some vintage paper and it's a tag. So I just like that it's customized for folks, and then they can have a conversation about it and just say, "Wow, what is that? Where did you get that?" And say, "You wouldn't believe it, but you know, this is an old item, and this is from a tea bag, you know." And so who would have thought, right, that these items that you see are in now, you know, somebody else's little stash, right? So I call this my stash. And I just, in my spare time, it's about relaxing, finding your niche, figuring out if you're not going dancing, or if you're not spending time with your family, if you're not watching TV or spending time on your phone, go out to some of these festivals, look at the markers, you know, the vendors, the makers out there, the creators out there, and see what they come up with, because the next time you know it, you'll look in your house and you go, "Oh my God, I seen that same thing like over there," and she made it into something more beautiful, right? So I think if you have any questions out there, feel free to ask me any questions. I'm not at my desktop, but I have an audience here. Thank you for coming. I appreciate the time spent. It's well spent for me to share the craft that I have and the love for repurposing, recycling, reusing. And certainly you will go to my Pinterest site, you know, see what you like. You know, if you need something, just let me know. I know there's a lot of people that have activities coming up, but they don't want to give out the normal stuff. They want to do something different and unique. Like you ever see the goodie bags that go out to people and it's like junk, straight up junk. It doesn't even have a purpose. But I know our chancellor is going to have to travel soon. These are travel notebooks. And so they're miniature. That's what I like, is it goes in your purse and you could say, "What was the address? Where were we going?" Like going to a conference, it's like, what, you're not looking at your agenda, but you jotted down your agenda in here. But I love these, but I made actually different cooler ones too. They didn't have to, but I did put little simple ones on here like this. And then I made, I like them because they're kind of, you know, like more modernish instead of this, but I did do some for the guys. I mean, they're pretty much, but I wanted you to see what they look like, because it looks like the, like a more vintage map. And so I customize these so that they look like that. So yes, these are vintage. These are an atlas that doesn't exist anymore because I tore it apart, but it's super old. Like, you know, not these ones, but these ones. Yeah. So that is it for my presentation. I think, was I on schedule or went under? You're welcome. Yeah, I'm glad. And, you know, now we can go home and think lighter about like how we spend our time and how we should be more conscious about like what we're purchasing. Like if this has a whole bunch of wrapping paper, it's just like, I don't need all that stuff. It's just like, I just need the product or whatever. But I know I would prefer items that I know that can be reused. So if it's in a box, a wood box, or something other than plastic, because plastic is hard to recycle, but there are people who are getting creative with using plastic, I want to say soda bottles and stuff. And so they're figuring out how to, you know, tint them and use them. And so I'm looking into like how we can do that. But I do know Peralta is on the right track, because we are looking at ways that we can, I want to say, change the way we sort through our garbage. I know Merritt is like looking at like, what are we dumping out? Like, where are our scraps going from our food? Like, I know we're all supposed to be following through with the, you know, making sure that we dump our trash properly. And so But even when we recycle, like when we're moving from one building to another, like houses, they are re-looking at how to repurpose those items now instead of just like unless it's a piece of heavy duty equipment, like a laboratory equipment that's outdated, you can't really repurpose that. But you can certainly use tables again, and chairs again, if you're going to sit on them and they're not going to break. But some people like to I want to purpose the chairs. But I've seen in mine a graveyard of chairs in my heyday. And so now, to save costs, save money, you want someone to go in and look at those items and say, hey, I think this is great for a reception room, but it's going to be now more modern. And so I just love the idea of us kind of going through that whole process. And it could be a trend also, because, go ahead.
Oh, I just have a question from someone in Zoom,
Okay,
and maybe you can repeat it just so,
okay.
or no, they see it, never mind. Do you offer classes such as craft and zip classes for parties?
I've never thought of it. And some birthday parties wanted me to do it. It depends on what you want to make. So if you want to make the bookmarkers, I can certainly get the materials for you and, set it up and show you, but you have to have an iron, an iron and some fused tape. There's just like minimal amount of supplies that you need to make items these days. And so the only thing that would cost is like, say, like if you wanted to make these terracotta things from just dry clay, right? You would have to buy essential oils to go with that. And so that's an additional cost, which is minimal. You can get that online at some of these herbal sites. But yeah, I would be open to that. And I think you guys know how to contact me if you need that kind of service. But I think sharing information is really good it's about the environment. It's like, I don't want an ordinary like party anymore. How can I use something? And so that's the whole mindset that we want to pass on today, is about like going back in time and saying, I've looked at some of my parents' old things and I hate to discard them. And, you just say, it's like, who is going to want this? The other generations aren't going to want some of this stuff, but there's beauty in it and there's life into it. And it's just saying, finding a place for it. My daughter ended up being an interior designer on the Big Island, and she's doing exactly that, but she's using local artists to create all of her like furnishings and prints and fabric that she like covers her pillows with. But she's constantly conscious about like what we're discarding. So I appreciate the whole time and the experience that I had today. It was the first series, and I had no idea what it was about, but I just put my pitch in, and Marla said, "Hey, come on, let's try it." Thank you, Chancellor. And I just think that the more fun you get out of something, that's an investment. Many of us are aging and getting older and having health problems, and you need to figure out ways to like adjust your lifestyle and invest good time, not just, 24/7 working, but actually converting that into other types of energy. Because once you're done with work, it's work, but your mind still thinks about work. I know, because I'm like that. I'm like really big on like, okay, did I wrap that up? Did I do this? Did I get to that student? But the reality of it is that, yeah, you did. And so now it's playtime. Now it's like relax, and this is another way to do it. And a lot of Peralta staff have side gigs that they do. Maybe they're dance instructors or they're childcare providers on the side with their grandkids, or they bake, or they sew. And, I didn't know this about my peers out there, that they were so talented. Some are musicians, some of them are dance instructors, some of them are, they perform. Like I've seen people that performed like in bands, and I'm like, I didn't know you played music, and so now we can go support them in what they do. But it also allows us to say, hey, there's life, right? Continually grow, continually share. I think that's important. And passing on down information like this is really key to anybody's success, whether that's at home or in the office. Because tools in the office are just as important. You'd be surprised at words of wisdom go a long ways with people, especially if you're passing down experiences, and what not to do. But to make yourself successful with the student is share that information. Don't be shy. It's like, even though it's not, might be your privy to do that, you might have a degree in a whole nother field that you have some content about that you could share and pass on to somebody else and just say, hey, I'm not in that field, but hey, I studied this and this is how I would go after it, right? And so that's where the creativity comes in. That's where the openness comes in. That's where being inclusive and, not being afraid to go the extra mile. So there you go. I'm done. Thank you.
Well, we have more events coming up. We will send some information about that. For those who are here, you can peruse Maria's amazing crafts, and you can also check out her Pinterest site, which is in the Zoom. Thank you for putting that up. From Chancellor Gilkerson. Thank you for.
So first of all, I want to just thank everybody for the speaker series, because I think it's really been amazing, and I wish I could have participated in more, but really your talent and the passion that you displayed, I just am really grateful. And this speaks to my heart. My house is filled of modern and antique pieces of furniture that I agree. And so just thinking about how we use resources here at the district, not only our creative juices and those things, but the physical stuff around us. It's a good reminder. So I really appreciate you. Thanks for everything. Really appreciate you. Great job.
Thank you. And thanks for being here, Chancellor Gilkerson. That means a lot.
I know it does. It really does.
Thank you, Peralta TV, as well. You are all an awesome crew. We couldn't do this without you.